Hello and welcome back to Fist Entertainment. Forgive the so close quarters area, but I'm getting a lot of personal little comments at work from people that follow my videos that it's a little too dark. Well, as you can see, I'm so close to the collection that I can literally rest my head on the back of it. It's kind of a little uncomfortable, but I will. This is the only way I can actually get better lighting in this atmosphere in this small area. As y'all know from last year's videos, I am not using my cinema. It's not up. I'm using a 4K setup in my bedroom. So that's why at times the lighting is a little darker than everybody wants it to be. But this right here I think is brighter, so hopefully that works. Alright, well, enough about that. Welcome to what I call Vampire Night for Foose Entertainment. It's running this a little later than usual. Had to wait for there to be absolute silence in the house. Family members in the house were still up, and I didn't want to disturb them, so finally asleep now. So pretty cool. Pretty cool though, because I did get to watch a couple of episodes of Elementary and educate my mind a little. It's a show I really do definitely enjoy. In fact, I actually have an episode of Elementary on right now. So let's go on to the film. This is the third time and probably the final time that I will be reviewing this movie. But I enjoy reviewing this movie. It's definitely one of my favorite films. And that said, do I have a favorite movie? No. But as far as vampire films go, this is probably one of my favorites. It's probably in the top 5. And this is a very cool exclusive Stillbook too. So, showing off a limited edition today. And that is of 1985's classic vampire movie, Fright Night. Alright. Well, first a little trivia before I go ahead and talk about the history I have with this movie for yet another time. Again, because I've said everything I need to say about the history of it. But one thing people do not realize is that the main actor who plays the vampire in this very movie is actually the same actor who plays Jack the Pumpkin King in Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Actually is. And if you actually listen to some of the acting he does in Fright Night, you will realize this. You can definitely tell that it is Jack the Pumpkin King. Jack Skeleton is played by Chris Sarandon, as well as Jerry Dandridge in the original cult classic Fright Night. Little trivia there for you. Alright, well, the first time I reviewed this movie, I did talk about the plot, and we'll get to that again because, I don't mind doing that. It's a very simple plot, so it won't take long to say on screen. The history. This used to be one of the highest rented, as well as the sequel, Fright Night Part 2, from 1988. Almost every other weekend, I would rent both VHSs. And I would have basically a double feature party every other week. Because that's how much I love these two movies. It was definitely a part of my teenage years of growing up, were these two films. And I think a lot of that has to do with the main character, the protagonist character. Not the main character isn't the villain, but the protagonist was a misunderstood, kind of, neutral, not exactly outcast, but not exactly popular teenage boy. He basically just, and now we can go into the plot of the film. A suburban boy next door teenager, by accident discovers that his new next door neighbor is a vampire. And when he tries to get the police to help him, to help the police find missing people who have definitely disappeared. They do not believe him. His girlfriend doesn't believe him. His mom doesn't believe him. But what he doesn't realize is that the vampire realizes that he knows that he has been discovered. And now it's a fight for survival. The only person he can turn to is a TV horror television series host by the name of Peter Vincent, played by the late Roddy McDowall, who in the movies plays a vampire hunter by the name of Peter Vincent, the Great Vampire Killer. Although they did change the name of him to the Fearless Vampire Killer in Fright Night Part 2. That same character. And he doesn't believe him. But then, his girlfriend and his best friend try to use this actor to disprove that his newfound next-door neighbor is a vampire. And what we discover is that his girlfriend is a reincarnation of the dead lost love of our vampire villain. And after being pursued by this vampire, his best friend is turned into a vampire, and his girlfriend's basically abducted by the vampire. Jerry Dandridge, which is played by Chris Sarandon, a.k.a. Jack Skellington. And he teams up with, now I know you're telling the truth, but I'm reluctant to help, Hollywood actor Peter Vincent. Teams up with him to rescue his girlfriend from becoming one of the undead. And then in the end, they turn his girlfriend back into a regular person and vanquish and set the vampire on fire with sunlight. Basically. Another little trivia about this film is the director of the original Child's Play movie, the very first Chucky movie, and the director of the second Psycho movie, Psycho 2, in 1983, is the director of Fright Night. And like me, although I'm a hell of a lot younger, I'm 40 years old, he's pushing 80, he has a found love of old nostalgic horror films, of Universal Monsters and Hammer horror. And basically, that was part of his love for making this vampire movie. It was made by a fan for fans. And I'm also kind of making what's called the 4K battle of what is the most dominating 1980s popular vampire movie. And Fright Night's one of them, and of course the other one is 1987's The Lost Boys. And we will determine over, say, the next 24 hours or 48 hours what the world, which is all of you, think is, based off of how many times you view this and view that review. Which brings to, obviously, the goodies. Obviously, I think that Fright Night's the better film, honestly. I love this movie. I love that movie too, The Lost Boys. Watched the shit out of that movie as well, but this one is my favorite. Now, the goodies, the quality. Alright. The 4K version of this movie is completely different from any version of Fright Night we have ever had in physical media. The VHS, the DVD, the Blu-ray. This tops all of them. The DVD had a Dolby Surround sound presentation, which was all front-based and very little surround effects. It was actually very bad. The Blu-ray wasn't much better. It was the same way. The VHS, on the other hand, actually was very good. It had stereo surround, Pro Logic, and it definitely is probably the closest thing there is to what we have with this 4K release. Unfortunately, there is one flaw, and I will get to it when we go through the audio. But first, let's talk about the video. The 4K restoration is a brand new restoration of the film, and it is brilliant. I am doing the wow factor with how this film looks in 4K. They really went the distance with making this look really good in 4K. We're talking very, very, very well done 4K HDR10. The resolution's awesome. It's definitely, I can see it being a very Dolby Vision heavy film, but I can also see it being a very, very good HDR representation. And just give me a second here. This is driving me nuts. I feel like I'm going ahead and doing this too much, so let's lower that down a little. Hopefully it doesn't affect the lighting. So everybody has to make a big deal about that. But yeah, I cannot stress enough how much better this film looks with this HDR10 and Dolby Vision. I mean, which display capabilities you have in the 2160 Ultra HD presentation is very, very, very good. Now let's go on to the audio, and we'll be very quick about this. The audio is flawless, and there's actually things that you can hear you never heard before with the audio. There is one flaw though. When it comes to the soundtrack score, there's actually people singing the songs. The voices are muffled in the background where you actually have to really listen for them. Now, for the music itself is very, very good. For everything else, it's literally the best I've ever heard of film. So yes, an A+ for almost everything, but I would have to give this film an A-. Now, if you have not seen Fright Night, definitely check it the fuck out, because this is a damn good movie. And I'll see you guys next time for my next review.